Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes. Okay, let's start. So I have added, there is a change in this slide. I have added more things that we will discuss today. So it's an updated version. The overall structure of a research paper includes title, bio note, abstract, introductions, materials and methods. What I have added, that is data analysis and results. I have added discussion, conclusion was there, glossary and references, and bibliography. Again, I repeat the same thing that templates of research paper may vary. It depends on the context. Did Deepak share research paper with all of you?
No, ma'am.
Okay, then send a reminder on my behalf. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. And if you get it, because then send it to me also. So we will discuss that after mid-sem, because we have to write research paper. Okay, fine. This was done. Bionote was done. Abstract was done. Types of abstract was done. Beware. This was our, I think, last slide that we discussed on Monday. Data collection. It is the process by which data is collected. There are many different strategies for collecting data, like experiment, observation, questionnaire, interview. So these are the strategies to collect data. This was the last PPT slide that we discussed on Monday. Our topic starts from this point. Research ethics. There, all of you are aware regarding ethics, but this is a different type of ethics, that is a research ethics. What is research ethics here? To maintain anonymity and confidentiality of respondents. What is that? What does this indicate?
Ma'am, during the conduct of research, when we take some data from a respondent, then we have to maintain the anonymity. If he wishes to be anonymous, so we should
Yeah.
not disclose his identity to others.
Yeah, for example, if we take an interview or a questionnaire, so this thing should be maintained. It's an integrity. To maintain integrity and avoid plagiarism in research. Third, not to harm anything involved in research. For example, last time we discussed that there is a fixed location. So if we conduct our research in university, so we are supposed not to harm anything involved in research. It's our responsibility. So these are research ethics. Data analysis. Now, any idea regarding data analysis? What does it contain? Now, see, data integration leads to data analysis. The first step in research is to data collection, integrate, and then analyze. Now, how you can analyze? by arranging the data either in a illustration manner or a tabular manner. So after that, the analyzing process will start. It is a process that dissects the obtained data. Dissection is there. After dissecting or analyzing, what it does, the purpose is it converts data into useful information to support decision making. So the main purpose of data analysis is to dissect. Then to convert that data into useful information so that reader as well as researcher as well as examiner can make a decision. Researcher can make a decision regarding what theme should go ahead. Heading, title. Examiner and a reader get the idea of the content or what what researcher wants to convey. Data analysis includes what? Because you collect a lot of data from multiple sources, but you cannot present all the data in your research paper. It should undergo a process of data cleaning, process of modeling and algorithm, and the process of data visualization. What is a data cleaning?
When we collect data, there can be some error in it. So it's a process of detecting some errors and correcting it.
Okay. And any other thing?
Removing redundancies and unnecessary gaps.
Yes, unnecessary. Removing unnecessary. In the beginning, we find everything important. But as we go in depth, we realize that certain ideas or concepts are not required. So removing that. One is removing error, correcting it. Second is removing unnecessary. Sometime also we find that data is insufficient. So we fail to add it. So it does not include only removal. It also includes addition. Data cleaning. Let's discuss. Data cleaning, it is a process of detecting errors and incompleteness in data. If not corrected, it produces misleading research finding. And third, a researcher should have a clear strategy for discarding or retaining any data. There should be a particular strategy. Why do you discard or why do you retain certain data? Second, modeling or algorithm. It's a mathematical formula or algorithm is applied to find out correlation or a causation. Correlation between among data or cause. Data visualization. It's a visual display. It's a visual representation of information through chart, graph, diagrams, etc. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Analysis of qualitative data. How can you analyze qualitative data? Now you have idea what is qualitative data. So what is the process of analyzing qualitative data? Okay. Analysis of qualitative data. If research involves qualitative data, then data analysis section is lengthy, first of all, because it's a non-numerical data. It's a non-numerical data. So it is always lengthy. And there are many chances of ambiguity in that, because analysis is data is lengthy. So to avoid ambiguity, a researcher should provide signpost. I think you have idea regarding signpost, because in many books this signpost are there. So you can do in a research paper also signpost. What is that? Any clarity regarding it? You can find a signpost on the roads regarding traffic, etc. Same signposts are there in the books. Signpost means important concept or an idea is highlighted in either in a tabular form or in some diagram, or sometimes you must have come across points to remember, points to ponder. So by recapping that, you get the idea. Did you get my point?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Signpost, then subheadings. It is divided into headings. Transcriptions. Now, what is a transcription here? For example, interview. In a qualitative data, if you take an interview, then you cannot present the whole interview if it's long. Then you transcribe it and present it. Sometime to avoid length, you add excerpts of interview, some of the part of the interview. So this is the analysis of qualitative data. It's a non-numerical data. Okay, now any idea regarding quantitative data, analysis of quantitative data?
The analysis of quantitative data is simpler than that of qualitative, because in quantitative analysis we use some formulas and algorithm, and it would be easier to analyze that.
Correct. It can be presented as a chart or graph. Summary figures resulting from calculations are included and not the entire calculation. In case of tabular presentation, simply present sample. This is the analysis of quantitative data. So collection of data leads to analysis. Integration leads to analysis. And analysis leads to visualization. Everything becomes clear. Comparison of qualitative and quantitative analysis. Now, any idea what is how can you compare both? One is numerical, another is non-numerical. Qualitative is non-numerical, quantitative is numerical. Second, quantitative is always objective. Qualitative is subjective. Third, very important. Do you know the third difference between two?
Accuracy.
Accuracy is there. Accuracy is the what we call requirement of the research. Correctness, accuracy, that are the part of the research. Quantitative, there is a generalization. Sample is selected, then generalized. Result is always generalized, right? In quantitative. Whereas in qualitative, it's not generalized. It is applicable to individual. Okay. Quantitative data analysis is also called a positivistic tradition. It attempts to be objective. It is always objective. Qualitative data analysis, which is called interpretive tradition. It attempts to be subjective. A researcher stands back during quantitative data analysis. There is no role play of researcher when quantitative data analysis goes on. During qualitative data analysis, a researcher and respondents are in more interactive position. In quantitative data analysis, result is always generalized. In qualitative data analysis, result is individualized. I hope this is clear. So in a research paper, every section has to be covered, whatever we, because this is same in IEEE, same in MLA, and same format in APA. Templates differ, but all the things are same. So whenever you write a research proposal, just open the slide of a research proposal. It's just guidelines one by one. How to write introduction, what to include in introduction, conclusion, everything. Here same in research paper. Okay. Now, what is a result? Now we discuss result. What is a result in research paper?
Final conclusion remarks.
No. Result always comes before discussion. It does not include interpretation. Let's see what is result. It states findings of the research without interpreting the findings. Findings are interpreted in discussion. It is followed by this qualitative and quantitative comparison, and then result and result. After result, there is a discussion. So in a result, a researcher simply states findings without interpreting. It provides a direction to the discussion section. So it's provides a direction. Now, these are the findings. It leads to discussion. Findings leads to discussion. So there is no interpretation in result section. It should be written in a past tense because result comes after experiment or everything. So it's always written in a past tense. This is a very confusing part because result, discussion, analysis. These three are main. Only remember that this section only states finding and does not include interpretation. Remember only three things. It includes finding, states finding, does not interpret finding, third, written in a past tense. Okay, discussion. Discussion, what you do here? Restate problem. Restate problem means what here? What does this imply? Restate problem.
The initial problem, the starting problem on which we started working.
Yes.
Restating
So
them again.
the problem that you stated in abstract and introduction of your research paper, you have to restate that problem. After restating problem, interpret the findings or a result. Clear? Result leads to discussion. In result, you simply stated findings. In discussion, you restate problem and interpret findings. Explanation in case result differs from expectation. You have to explain if the result differs from expectation. In this section, you have to interpret. Now, what will you interpret? Interpretation includes explanation. Explanation of what? If result differs from expectation. What you expected in introduction or abstract, if the result differs, then you have to explain. Interpretation also includes if your expectation comes to substantiate evidence for results meeting the expectation. Substantiate evidence for result meeting the expectation. Discussion includes recommendation. What is a recommendation in research paper? If a researcher find any solution to the problem stated in the research and the solution is authentic, then it is recommended for further research, further use. Recommendation means if researcher finds solution to the problem stated, then that solution, if solution is authentic, then it is recommended for further research, or in many cases it is also applied or implemented. Limitations. So in discussion you have to state limitation. Now what is limitation here?
Ma'am, our research paper may not always include every aspect. There are some aspects that can be left behind even after the completion of my research paper. It may be due to the lack of the sample size that we are choosing, or lack of time, lack of constraints.
And another thing is also there. Another idea. This is fine. But another idea is also there. That many times what happens that a researcher, after completing research, they realizes certain limitations or a loopholes in their own research. Then that loopholes should be discussed, that if this should be implemented, then it could have brought a change in research. Limitations. So here a researcher is expected to become a critic of his or her own research. Here criticism is not used in a derogatory sense. It is used in a evaluation form. One has to evaluate one's own research. And many avenues of thoughts open once you complete your research. You yourself you will realize that yes, this could have done in this way. So limitations. Possibilities of further covered. A researcher mentions that these aspects have not been covered. So it leads to the possibility of further research. That yes, these aspects have not been covered. So let's study these aspects. So one research leads to another research. Possibility. I hope analysis, result and discussion is clear. Because they are fundamental part of a research paper. So whenever you write the section of discussion in research paper, first thing you have to do, step number 1, restate problem. Step number 2, interpret findings. Now what will you interpret? Explanation in case results differ from expectation. Substantiate evidence for results meeting the expectation. Step number 3, recommendation. Recommend solution for further research or implementation. Limitations. No research is last. It is a continuous process. Possibilities of further research. Step 5. So 5 steps should be included in this section of discussion in research paper. Any query? If you have any query, then please ask.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Today we are planning to complete the entire chapter.
So how long is it?
Not more than 5 or 6 slides. Hope you are not bored, right?
Not sure.
Yes. Did I?
No, ma'am. It's interesting. Please continue.
Okay. Hope same answer for everyone. Conclusion now. So discussion leads to conclusion. So first comes analysis, then come result, then come discussion. Discussion leads to conclusion. Conclusion, the basic function of the conclusion is to summarize. Again here step number 1, whether the aims have been achieved or not, because in abstract and introduction you write aims of research. Now in the conclusion you have to mention whether the aims have been achieved or not. You begin with the aim and end whether they have been achieved or not. Reasons if aims have not been achieved. You have to give reasons why aims have not been achieved. And if achieved, again substantiate evidence. Third, contribution to knowledge. It includes the contribution to knowledge. Now, what do you mean by contribution to knowledge?
By the
By-
research of
Yes.
the contribution of my research paper to the existing knowledge in that specific area.
Yes. Contribution doesn't mean that you have to bring a drastic change. No. Only one new finding is enough for a contribution to knowledge. Then findings to the reader or examiner. So whatever findings are there, it should be mentioned. And how research findings can be useful. So whatever findings have been received, how they can be useful for further research or for certain purpose. So conclusion includes all these steps. First point should be in a conclusion that aims, whether achieved or not. Not achieved, then reason. Achieved, then give evidence. Third, contribution to knowledge. Researcher is not expected to bring a drastic change or to give a revolutionary contribution. No, one simple idea, one new idea, which is completely innovative, original. These are all words. Then how the findings can be useful. References. All of you are aware about the references. Let's recap very fast. What do you remember about references? Because reference is include in research proposal also we have discussed, and here also research paper, and it will be added in scientific proposal also and dissertation also.
Ma'am, the reference lists all the resources that we have used. It's actually a listing of the resources that we have used in the research paper.
And I also said that there are two types of references: in-text references and the references that are listed at the end. Clear? In-text references and the references that are stated at the end of a research paper or a dissertation or research proposal. And it is always in a alphabetical form. Now, main purpose. The main purpose in citing references first is to enable readers or examiners to consult the original source. They can consult original source. Second reason, that if your bibliographic details are incomplete, then it causes difficulty in locating the original source. Another important thing is that to cite only those references which have been actually consulted. References which have not been consulted or read by you should not be cited. And all these disciplines should be followed strictly. These are also research ethics. References taken from a secondary source should not be cited. Now, what does this imply? References taken from a secondary source.
Ma'am, like an article has been published in a newspaper from a book, so I can't cite that newspaper. I have to cite the original book.
Right. So, for example, whatever book you are reading, and if it contains the reference, you do not have to cite that reference. You have to cite that book only, not the references included in the book. 1. So, first thing is that it helps in locating original source. And second, it's mandatory to list only those references which are actually consulted, and secondary sources should not be cited. Now, references are known as a bibliography or a work cited. It contains all the references that have been consulted in research. The details that are required to prepare a bibliography are, so whenever you write a bibliography, one by one you do a citation. So this citation should contain detail regarding name of the author, place of publication, date of publication, title, publisher's name, page number. Nowadays, research evaluation team has become very strict regarding this. Day before yesterday, when I was walking, I came across one friend and she told me that her abstract was not selected on the basis of certain limitations that certain double spacing, indent, even short things were also due to this limitations, her paper was not accepted. So these are very important part, because nowadays many things happen regarding a plagiarism. So this reference is mandatory. It lends authenticity to your work. It lends authenticity, that it certifies that whatever you have done is completely original. So it contains all the details. Now, annotated bibliography. Any idea what is annotated bibliography?
Ma'am, basically, like in your research paper, all your references to different stuff you're using in your paper is given in that column.
Okay, but that we know that one has to include all the details regarding author, place of publication, date, title, publisher's name, page number, etc., etc. But what else is included in annotated bibliography?
For example, if in your paper you have a particular line which makes its reference to certain different paper, so you can annotate that with a certain number. You can refer to this.
Okay,
Mm.
okay. Bibliography, annotated bibliography means you give the complete detail and it contains a critical note either on an author or a book. I have, just to give you an example, I have pasted the real example of annotated bibliography. First of all, it's an alphabetical list of books, articles, journals, etc., containing critical note on author or a book. Now, bibliography. See, you read this first part. It's written is Kiffy EJ, then the year has been mentioned. Pain in arthritis and musculoskeletal disorders, Journal of Orthopedic and Sports. Then the page number is mentioned. Now, at the end of this reference, note is given. That is called annotated bibliography. This is taken from a APA manual, and if you follow APA style, then you have to give annotated bibliography. If you follow APA method, then you have to give annotated bibliography. So detail has been written. I got all the facts about exercising with arthritis and the different types of exercise from the source. The author is very readable and includes a detailed bibliography. Note has been given. Same example in the second. Clear? So if we will follow annotated APA referencing style, then we will include this annotated bibliography. Otherwise, works cited or a bibliography, which includes only the details of a author's name, title of the book, publication, year, page number, etc. Whereas annotated bibliography includes the note also. So here our chapter ends. It ends. So if you have any query regarding this, please ask. So we started today we started from research ethics. Then we discussed data analysis. It includes data cleaning and data visualization. Then we had discussion of analysis of qualitative data, then analysis of quantitative data, and we compared both. That one is quantitative is always generalized, whereas qualitative is always individualized. Then result. It always comes before discussion. In that you state findings, but do not include interpretation. And it is always written in a past tense. Discussion includes restating problem, interpretation, recommendation, limitation, and possibilities of further research. Then conclusion. It again summary of aims that have been achieved, not achieved, then reason, achieved, then evidence, contribution to knowledge, findings to the reader, and how research findings can be helpful. References that they are used especially to locate original sources. And it also lends authenticity to your work. And then we discussed about a annotated bibliography. So here our research paper chapter ends. After mid-sem, I will give you research proposal sample as we discussed earlier. And then you will do an exercise of writing research proposal. Okay. All the best for exam. See you on Monday at 2 o'clock.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. If you have any query, you can ask, or before that also, feel free to contact me. Any doubt regarding
Yes, ma'am.
syllabus or anything. Only 12 people remained. It began with, I think, 25.
And some of them have left just now. Yeah, you say.
Okay, fine. And what methodology other professors follow in online? Means they also present a PPT, or
Some of them write on the whiteboard, but it's almost similar in every class.
okay, so PPT or a whiteboard?
Digital whiteboard, yes.
Yes. Okay, all the best.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
See you on Monday at 2
Thank you,
o'clock.
ma'am.
Okay, bye. Take care.